Hey everybody, Nick here, and this morning we're going to take apart this little guy and do a little disassembly and maintenance on your Cold Steel TuffLite, your TuffLite. So this is the first time I will ever have taken this knife apart. So you guys are going to be learning with me. Be prepared for some learning to go on here. Step one is going to be to figure out the right driver size. I have a bit set that has a whole bunch of different Torx drivers, so I just kind of go through and I try things until I find one that seems to work. T5 is a little small. Let's try your T6. Perfect. Alrighty. So I'll use T6 here. Put my little driver bits back over here. So I'm going after the pocket clip because I can already see that the pivot is covered by the pocket clip on the other side here. Not a terrible thing, and in many ways it helps the knife carry a little bit deeper. So I got no complaints, but that's something you got to keep in mind. This little hint of blue, hold on now. Come on, pop out. You can do it. There you go. This little hint of blue that I'm seeing right here, for instance, is indicative to me that they're using a little bit of Loctite here. Not a problem. Blue Loctite is never a big concern. But that just means that when I put this guy back together, I'm going to want to use some blue Loctite. So, learning. And especially on a knife you've never disassembled before, you got to pay attention to those little cues, because it's going to help you when it comes time to put the thing back together. And hopefully this guy will be fairly straightforward. Backlocks tend to be, and the Triad Lock is just kind of a special case of backlock. Don't eat me, Cold Steel fanboys. That's just the truth. Alrighty, and then it looks like we've got a much bigger bit over here. Yeah, that'll do. This is just a driver extension. Since it's already in there, I'm just going to use this. Completely unnecessary to extend this driver right here, but that's okay. And again, more blue Loctite. So the moral of this story is use some blue Loctite. Get the blade out of play. Now take apart the scale. There you go. Oh, no washers. Well, that's some quality cheap right there. Alrighty. But hey, on the bright side, we now see the inside of this knife, and actually we see a very nice little demonstration of how the Triad Lock works. That's kind of pretty. So hopefully I'm not going to injure myself in doing this little demonstration, but this is the way that any backlock works. The Triad Lock just throws in this stop pin there. So when you want to unlock it, you press this down, and when you press down on the backlock here, this spring is compressed. You can see that there's a spring here that goes into this pocket, and it compresses that downwards. And that clears, come on now, whoa, and it all just falls apart. But that clears the way for the blade to go down this way, and then when you reopen the blade, it drops back in, and there you go. So that's how your Triad Lock, or frankly any of your other backlock knives, actually work. So, yeah, that's interesting. The main difference between a backlock and the Triad Lock is the inclusion of the stop pin here, which does stabilize the blade on another dimension, which is good. I got no real issue with the Triad Lock at all. I don't see that it's God's gift to locking mechanisms, necessarily. I am not necessarily a Cold Steel fanboy, even less so after this whole San Mai debacle recently. But nonetheless, it's a fine lock. There's no real issue with it. But I tend to believe there aren't issues with a whole lot of the modern locks. So, this knife is very clean, and that makes sense, because I haven't carried this guy all that much, maybe a week or two in total, but, and I don't tend to get into greasy, grimy kind of situations. So I'm just going to start reassembling it. Because there is no washer here whatsoever, the blade is just riding against plastic, the oil here, I don't know what it's going to do for us. But I am going to go ahead and use a little bit, if nothing else, for tradition's sake. There you go. Anything else that needs some lubrication here? No, not really. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and lubricate the pivot for the Triad Lock. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate the inside of your blade pivot. And, yeah, make sure I wipe this off here. Just a second. And then I'm going to drop this back through. You can see here that this hole is D-shaped, and so I'm going to go ahead and drop that through. And add just a little bit more lubrication, just to keep that blade nice and free. My biggest problem with the Triad Lock, honestly, is that it's very, very hard to press down to open it up. That's just the nature of the beast, but it is a little less than ideal, and so anything I can do to make this blade open a little more freely afterwards is kind of a nice thing. Go ahead and drop that stop pin back in there. Go ahead and drop in the Triad Lock spring, and we can see this is just a little bit of spring bar. Let's see what the most efficient way to do this is going to be. So there we go, that's in there. That doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to go ahead and reverse this guy and see whether that's different. I'm just paying attention to the amount of tension, tension, that the back lock is under here. Hey everybody, watch Nick fiddle around on camera for 20 minutes. It's gonna be a great time. There we go. Now let's check the tension. There you go, that feels like factory. So all I did is, this has a slight kind of kink in the spring there, so I just flipped it around so that the kink was facing the other direction. Make sure the spring is fully seated, and then just check to see, yeah, that feels about right in terms of overall tension for the Triad Lock. So there you go. Lockup seems solid. We are good to go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit nano oil right on this side here. Again, I don't know that the oil's doing us that much against plastic, but why not, right? And yeah, no other parts, so there we go. Drop that in, make sure the stop pins go in. Make sure everything's locking up along the top here. We got a decent enough fit, given the poor tolerances in play here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take out my blue Loctite. Just shaking it up a little bit here. And I'm not going to hesitate to use a ferro mount, just because it's very clear that they have used a ferro mount here. Okay, pivot screw. That's not a incredibly well-made Torx there, but that's okay. And all I'm trying to do here, hopefully you can focus in on this. Come on now. Yeah. Hashtag not a brilliant man. All I'm trying to do is put a little bit of Loctite on here. I am toward the bottom of my barrel on Loctite. There we go. And it's in there. You always got to be careful when you're using a fair amount of Loctite on a pivot that you don't accidentally get a bunch of Loctite up around the screw and then back into your pivot, because then you're going to have your blade that is riding on Loctite, and Loctite is many, many things, but an effective lubricant is not really among them. So I'm just backing this guy out plenty, just to make sure the angle is right. There we go. You want the screw to go in with very little resistance. And I'm throwing a TuffLite here. A dropped knife has no handle. If you feel a knife dropping, just let it go. Because if you try and grab for it, you may grab the blade and then you're going to have a bad, bad time. No blade play. Triad Lock still works. All right, we're good. Now, all we need to do is put in these two backspacer screws. So, go ahead and find the right driver here. So, recall that these has those two little bolt kind of holders. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those two in there. And it looks like these are D-shaped, and indeed, if we look through the hole, you can see that there is a flattened surface here. So go ahead, drop that in, and drop that in. No washers at all. Really, Cold Steel? Hot damn. That's some quality lazy. You would think with all the money they're making off of their little San Mai threatening letters. That's right, Cold Steel. Yeah, what the heck, I'll rant about that a little bit. So Cold Steel has decided that they trademarked the phrase San Mai 3, which represents one of their steels that they use. Kind of silly. And they're now sending threatening cease and desist lawyer nastygrams to independent knife makers who use the term San Mai. And San Mai just means it's a Japanese technique, and it's been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years in Japan. It's just a way of getting multi-pattern steel. And so they've been sending nastygrams out to independent knife makers. The owner of Cold Steel sent out a, whoa, way too much Loctite there. Live by the Loctite, die by the Loctite. But anyways, they've been sending out nastygrams to independent knife makers, custom makers who've been describing steel rightly as San Mai. And it's caused them a whole lot of PR problems. And it's a reason that I'm probably not going to be buying more Cold Steel, even though it was never really to my taste. So, you know, to couple that with the fact that, well, they're doing all these really lazy decisions here, they're just not impressing me so much lately. So now I'm going to go ahead and remount the handle screw here. And since I've got a little pool of Loctite already on my work surface, which is really not ideal in several ways, I'm going to go ahead and use some of that just to save my life easy. Save my life easy, wow. Long day already, which is impressive because it's not even 9 a.m. yet. So I'm really super not impressed with Cold Steel lately. They've been handling that like just grade A douchebags. It's kind of sad, honestly. I'm all for people protecting what is theirs, but if you claim something that is not yours and then use lawyers to defend it, that's just theft, flat out. But okay, that completely aside, your Cold Steel TuffLite is now reassembled with its washerless construction. And yeah, there you go. So if you've got a TuffLite, this is how you clean it up. And if you don't, this is what's inside a TuffLite. Hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.